Hello, my name is Matthew, and I just read The Problem of Thor Bridge by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and this is a part of my read along series and book club with Steve Donahue. We're reading murder mysteries in the month of March, and we're reading all the Sherlock Holmes short stories. And aside from a few quibbles, issues that I had with some of the overall themes of the short story, I really enjoyed the case. I felt that it was still very fresh and lively. It felt mysterious. This is one of those cases where we really see Sherlock's methods of deduction. We're seeing his train of thought. He's throughout the case solving it, finding clues, reframing what happened, and we're kind of following along. And I really like those stories. It's a little bit of an inside look from the ultimate the finale kinds of short stories where you get Sherlock's theatricality, and he comes off looking like a magician, just in an impossible way of solving a crime. And this way, we see all the little details, and I like that. The moment where the person bursts in the door, the way that these cases start, I also thought was done in a really original manner. It begins with a telegram, and I forget all these people's names already. The case is there's a very rich, the richest financial expert, the most powerful person in finance. Everyone in these stories is always the most important, the most dangerous, the richest person. Have all this money, all this influence. And early in life, when he was young, he married a young Brazilian woman who was beautiful. This is my issue, the quibble, the main issue that I have with the story. So they get married. 20 years go by. They're living in England. He's now sort of a stately Englishman, and it's described that the Brazilian woman is past her prime, and it takes up a large portion of the story and the motives, and everyone just takes it for granted, and as if it's some sort of tragedy. They had been together for like 20 years, and as a result, she had aged 20 years. And now this Englishman, this older Englishman, is realizing that there's still young people, beautiful young people around. And he's married to this woman that's almost described to be a hag or something. Totally beautiful. This beautiful Brazilian woman that is now past her prime, and he's stuck with her. Very off putting. And none of the characters really think any other way. She's the person that ends up being shot. And they're in the household. They have, now I can't remember, but a daughter or children. They have a tutor. There's a housekeeper in the house that has entered the scene, and she's young and beautiful. She's now suspected for killing the Brazilian who's past her prime. The head of the household, he's this monstrous, violent, ill-tempered, angry, very, very rich, influential man, overbearing, horrible. A couple other people. So there's one night, the, the to describe the scene of the crime. The housekeeper, the beautiful young girl, gets a note from the Brazilian wife. Meet me out on the bridge at this time after everyone's gone to bed. She goes out there. They have a horrible argument. leaves, and goes to sleep. The next morning, the Brazilian woman, the wife, is dead on the bridge, has a note with the young housekeeper's name written on it. It was written by the housekeeper. We're meeting here at this time. The revolver that was used to shoot the woman is in the young housekeeper's dresser drawer, just right at the bottom of the dresser drawer. And she gets arrested, admits to all sorts of things. Yeah, I met her there right at that time. Now, the husband, who's had an eye on the housekeeper, is kind of upset with his wife. He's horrible and violent to his wife. One of the main things that he doesn't like is that his wife still loves him, no matter how angry and violent he is. She's still in love with him. He's trying to drive her off, and it's driving him mad. So he's also, maybe a suspect, but he's the person that writes to Sherlock. His wife just got shot, but the beautiful housekeeper is now being blamed for it. He goes, I know she didn't do it. You have to help. You have to come up here. Hardly a word spoken about being grief-stricken at the murder of his wife. Just this poor girl, this innocent, beautiful girl. And even when Watson sees the beautiful girl, it's that idea that she's very attractive, so it couldn't have been her. She couldn't have done it because look how pretty she is. Things like that kind of run through this story. Sherlock gets interested in the case. There's a great back and forth between the husband and Sherlock, because the husband shows up and he's a man that's very influential. He has all this money. He's used to pushing people around, buying people off. He gets whatever he wants. And Sherlock says, like, pretty much, are you sleeping with the housekeeper? Doesn't say it that way. And he goes, how dare you? And he storms out. Sherlock says, like, if you're just gonna be lying to me, I'm not answering. I'm not helping. I could just dismiss your case. Just get out of my apartment. He comes groveling back, says, well, I did have some romantic overtures towards her. I said, if we can get rid of the wife that's now past her prime, then maybe you could have a very good life. And the beautiful girl says no to everything. And the only reason that she agrees to stay in the house is that it's never brought up again. So the story we're being told is that she was morally upright, didn't like this old man kind of creeping on her. He's married to a woman that loves her. He's violent and horrible towards her. But she's thinking about the people that she has to take care of and the income that she has, and decides to stay at the house. Sherlock and Watson, they go out and look at the bridge. There's clues out there. The main clue is that there's a big chip in the solid stone. They're looking at it and thinking, look at this big chip. Like, what kind of force could have made this big chip into the bridge? And we're seeing Sherlock kind of figuring stuff out. He talks to the woman. He talks to the horrible husband. Talks to this housekeeper that is gossiping and telling Sherlock how horrible the husband is, and talking about the wife and the other woman, all that. And it goes along until we get to the what happened. And it's ridiculous, it's silly, it's plausible, and pretty entertaining. As far as these things go, the fact that everything works out the way Sherlock thinks it works out is just fun. So all the sexism issues and the views on women, it's unfortunate. The case and the mystery, and we have this gun. It's in the drawer. We know that there's a set of two of these guns. There's a chip. She has this note clutched in her hand. Sherlock points out, well, she read the note first thing in the morning. Why is she still clutching a note for a simple appointment on a bridge at night, unless to implicate her? The girl doesn't know anything about the gun in her drawer, and if she did go out there to shoot the wife so she could marry the husband, why wouldn't she have disposed of the gun? So Sherlock takes Watson's revolver, his service revolver, ties a piece of string to it, ties a heavy rock. They kind of sling it over the bridge, and they let it go. The rock goes flying off the bridge. The service revolver hits the side of the wall, makes the same kind of chip on the wall. We learned that the Brazilian woman that's past her prime hated the young housekeeper, the young tutor. Hated her. And she decides that she's going to commit suicide. She's upset about all this stuff, unhappy. Not only does she want to kill herself, she wants to have this perfect crime that sets up the housekeeper for the murder. So she goes through all of these elaborate steps to get the housekeeper there at the scene of the crime. They do meet, big shouting match. She leaves. The young housekeeper leaves. And the Brazilian woman has this, the gun that she's going to use tied to a string. At the other end's tied to a rock. The rock's dangling off the bridge. She's going to shoot herself. The gun will go flying out of her hand. The rock launches into like a pond, or I guess like a marshland or a mire, and it disposes of the gun. They didn't drag the water because they had found the gun. These guns were a pair, and that's what happened. So Watson's gun goes flying into the water, and Sherlock says to this inspector, who they'd been working with, says, "All right, now go get Watson's gun. I bet right next to that gun is going to be the gun that actually shot the woman." And yeah, so that's the problem of Thor Bridge. The other aspect that I liked about the story, just in general, is Sherlock is having his private moments with Watson, and actually being being frustrated or aggravated that he didn't solve it sooner. And he goes through and he talks about these details that, even though it's this crazy, ridiculous solution, there's details that led up to it. Of course, as a reader, without the big explanation, we wouldn't know. We can't make those connections. But the details that do lead up to it are pinned throughout the story. They are there. When you reread it, there's just great attention to detail, putting together this puzzle box of an insane scenario. So, really good. Has its issues. The mystery, the puzzle was really good. So, The Problem of Thor Bridge. Let me know if let me know if you've read it. Thank you for watching, and take care. Bye.